Anytime you bring up Kratos in any way, he's gonna generate money. He is the God of War.
This video has been brought to you by Game Way. Okay.
I had a chance to go back and look at the lore behind the whole God of War Lafay thing. Why are people mad that God of War Lafay exists? The game is cool. Like, oh, the game looks cool. I haven't played it yet. You know what I mean? But people are just like, you know, up in arms about it. I don't get why they mad. I don't either, but she should have less leg armor.
What?
I believe that, you know, it's a bunch of main character syndrome happening with gamers, right? Especially like these older male gamers that have grown up playing video games that they're used to back in like the early 2000s. They believe they're the main character. You know, they're the only target audience for games. Regardless of what you think about the way gaming is going, your demographic isn't the only demographic that plays video games anymore. And companies, game developers are companies just like Fry's Food and Drug Store, just like a Safeway, just like a Walmart, just like any of these other places that exist, you know? I'm actually surprised they haven't done an Atreus solo game yet, or even a short solo story game like they did for Miles Morales. The problem is there's still so much money in Kratos. And they're not dumb. They understand that there's still money in Kratos. Kratos that's their cash cow. Anytime you bring up Kratos in any way, he's gonna generate money. Any smart business understands like there's other audiences that they can cater to that will generate money for them. Right, and as an industry, you would be dumb not to see that. We know for a fact that, you know, women make up just a little bit less than half of the market in video games. Like, women are playing video games more now than they were in the 90s, and that's just because it's more accessible to women. It was usually, when video games first came out, it was marketed as a kid's toy. And you know, in the 80s and 90s, marketing was very binary as far as who they were marketing to. It was either marketing to little boys or little girls. There was very little crossover, you know, and it was a young industry. Marketing in general was very young. You know what I mean? I don't remember what year it happened, but I think it was like in the 30s or 40s. Coca-Cola invented Santa Claus. Coca-Cola invented the Santa Claus that we have today. In any industry, even when like YouTube, right? In YouTube, they tell you niche down, stick to one market. Now they're telling you don't do that because, you know, you're wasting your reach potential. And gaming developers have been, you know, cross-marketing for a long time now. You know, if you think about any game that has come out, right? Just think about this. Any game that has come out that had any bit of controversy to it. The Last of Us 2. What was that game? Concord. In any game, there's more, but I can't think of them right now. Any game that has come out, right, that has either had some controversy or totally flopped, were attempting this. They were attempting to cross market, right? They were attempting to cater towards multiple markets or multiple demographics. Sorry. They haven't got it down yet, right? As you think about it, The Last of Us 2 killed off its main protagonist and, you know, made room for two other protagonists, right? And had this complex storyline that wasn't just about like kill bad guy. The Last of Us 2 was attempting to market towards women and people that didn't usually play video games, because women like complex storylines. They like emotional range and a lot of drama. There needs to be more than shoot bad guy, kill thing, stabby. There needs to be more than that because, you know, women like to think about stuff. They're not like cavemen. Bonk. You know what I mean? Bonk. You know, they're like guys like bonk games. I'm a guy, I love bonk. You know what I mean? If I can shoot a bunch of stuff and, you know, stand there and have a cutscene to look like a hero, I'm satisfied. That's not gonna cut it for the average female gamer. Companies are starting to understand the differences and complexities between female and male gamers, and even the complexities of, you know, the nuances of different cultures and things like that. And they're trying to put it all together. And I'm for that. You know what I mean? You know, as somebody that's been in marketing, I know that when I see an ad and it didn't hit, that wasn't for me. If it's something I'm not interested in, hey, it was for somebody else. Oh no, they messed that up, man. Why are you selling that? And if you think about it, it's already been in major video games. God of War Ragnarok that's a prime example. God of War Ragnarok is a prime example of a game shifting into being appealing on a greater scale, because everybody thought that God of War Ragnarok was a good game. I thought it was a good game. You know, we talk about God of War Ragnarok and what that looks like as a game that caters to, you know, I'll say the male gaze and the female gaze, because Kratos went from this killer figure to this enraged killer figure to this, you know, emotional, well, I want to say emotional, but more, you know, stoic, reserved, you know, father figure. Yeah, you have that father figure, and Capcom is leaning into it too. They just released Resident Evil 9. They have a part of the story for the female gaze and the part of the story for the male gaze. And even the part of the story that's for the male gaze features aspects that are for the female gaze. Like, you think about it, you got Grace, right? Women can, you know, kind of put themselves in Grace's position in this game and be like, okay, I can relate to this. And then they can go, you know, Leon. Now, we could talk about, I could go on about what Leon's look changed to, because Leon is definitely for the women's. Guys don't care. They just want him to be badass and shoot stuff. And you know, I'm with it, because a lot of those executions were specifically for what men wanted in that game. But the way he looks, bro, his hair looks like he goes to the salon every other week. His hair alone is definitely target for women. And he's got this, you know, tall, slender, mysterious look about him now. You know, with this expensive car and, you know, these jackets that normal guys don't wear. Leon looks like a model now. He looks like an older male model. And they've tested this to see what women thought of him, because they want women to buy the game. You know what I mean? What's that other game that came out? Pragmata. It's Pragmata. I don't know why it was so hard for me to remember. Pragmata is definitely for a broader audience. It's got a complex story, you know, with the father trying to help the daughter, things like that, you know, or the father figure helping the daughter figure out in the game. It's very complex story driven. So, you know, like I said, I don't have a problem with it. You know what I mean? But I just think the average consumer hasn't recognized that is what it is. You know, you are the target audience, but you're not the only target audience. That's what it is.
Let's go.